Hi everyone, happy Thursday. Today I want to talk about Vancouver and Toronto, which city I like better. For whatever reason, I get asked this a lot, mainly by people who want to move to Canada or someone who just moved here. They're not sure if they're in the right city and they'll ask for advice. Personally, I lived in both cities. I'm not a proponent of either one. There's obviously lots of good reasons why you should live in both cities. This is just my personal thoughts. Um, I personally, if I had to pick between the two cities, I'm gonna personally have to go with Vancouver over Toronto. The reason being is that I'm a big foodie and I find that the food scene here, it hands down is so much better. Um, if you want to look at diversity of foods, Toronto's obviously going to be a bigger and better city for that just because the population is 6 times the size of Vancouver. You can't even compare. But if you want to talk about quality of food, and 95% of the time I eat out, I'm guaranteed to have a good meal. And never have I lived anywhere else where it was that high, with the exception of New York City. I like the fact that people here on a superficial level are pretty friendly. Being that I'm a friendly person myself, it's nice to see smiles and smiles and just positive thoughts throughout my day. I find in Toronto people are more downtrodden, and even though there are good people and they're probably happy people, they don't show it on their face. I love living on the Pacific Ocean, um, and just being on the coast. And maybe because I've lived on the coast my whole life, with the exception of the 4 years that I've been in Ontario, so that felt weird. But I just like being on the water and having access to the beach and the mountains and doing a lot of outdoor activities. Not to say that you can't do a lot of outdoor activities in Toronto, I definitely have. Um, but I just like the location of Vancouver better. In terms of jobs, that's a draw. I'm in healthcare. I can find a job anywhere. I loved my job in Toronto. I loved my coworkers. I also love what I do here. I love my clients. Um, you know, I'm in two different subfields of my field, so I can't really compare. But if you're in general looking for a job, probably Toronto's going to be a better bet. I find that wages in Vancouver are pretty low, and being that cost of living here is a lot higher than Toronto, it may be an upward struggle that you may not want to do. But even though I said that I like Vancouver over Toronto, and I do hands down when it comes to comparing the cities, I really do miss my friends and family in Toronto. And hands down, I would pick that city over Vancouver for personality and friendships. I find living in Vancouver, it can be so isolating at times. I've been here 2 years and I haven't made many friends here. And if I were to ask other people that lived here for 2 years, their answer is going to be the same as mine. Um, I believe it was Vancouver Sun did an article 6 months ago about why people in Vancouver are so antisocial and can't make friends, and how I think it's 40% of the people that live here have thoughts of loneliness and even on a greater extent depression about it. I have no idea why. I don't know if it's the weather. I don't know if it's the high cost of living. I don't know if it's because we're isolated. If you look at North America, we're kind of far away from everything else. I'm not quite sure, but at least in Toronto, it took me a little while, but once I was able to crack that exterior shell of people, I definitely made a lot of friendships that will last a lifetime. And as we all go through our ups and downs, I'm happy to report that these people stuck through me, and I appreciate all of them very much. And unfortunately, when it comes to a point of when I do leave Vancouver one day, I'm probably not going to say the same thing. As much as I do like living here, I really haven't made any connections that I feel that will survive my move. Um, and of the few people that I would keep in touch with, it's because they're from TO or from somewhere else where I know I would see them again. But I've yet to meet a Vancouverite where I know for sure that I'm gonna really keep in touch with them once I go. And that kind of makes me sad. But like I said, it's just not me having this problem. It's everyone, and you can Google it for yourself. So, in a nutshell, of the two cities that I prefer, Living wise, Vancouver. Friends wise, Toronto. If I was rich, I would have a house in both places. If you have no job, go to Toronto. If you're a foodie, stay in Vancouver. If you're for fashion, go to Toronto for sure. If you're an outdoorsy person, it's a draw. Draw just meaning that in Vancouver, obviously you can do a lot of outdoor things, but people in Toronto are pretty outdoorsy too. And on that note, I'm gonna go, so have a good day. Bye bye.